now you could start your presentation.
Okay, sir. Good morning to all. Myself Tanmay. Today I am going to tell about fundamental rights and women. There is one saying by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, that is, what are we have this liberty for? We are having this liberty in order to reform our social system, which is full of inequality, discrimination, and other things which conflict with our fundamental rights. India is a secular country which has no state religion. The government and the law treats all the religions equally. The true measure of the greatness of country is analyzed through effective implementation of rights of the citizens. Every country awards certain rights with some limitations to its citizens. A healthy administration is one that provides absolute rights and freedoms to people, and India is one such country in the world. The Constitution of India empowers fundamental rights for its citizens. Now the one question arises, that is, what is fundamental rights? Fundamental rights means those actions or rights which are essential for personal welfare as well as the good of the community. Our founding fathers, as influenced by Bill of Rights of American Constitution, Declaration of Man of France, the Irish Constitution of 1935, the post-war Constitution of Japan and Burma, the Universal Human Rights Charter and Nehru Report of 1928, engrafted fundamental rights in the Part 3 of the Constitution of India. In the Constitution of India, from Article 12 to 35 explains about fundamental rights of the citizens of India. Now I am going to tell about how fundamental rights are connected with women. Human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights. They cover every aspect of women's life like health, education, political participation, economic well-being, and freedom from violence, among many others. So in all those aspects, these some women's rights bring some dignity and bring some equality for women. Naturally, women is weaker than men, and also our society is male-dominant society. So women is sidelined by our society. Now we look into fundamental rights, how they are connected with women and how they are helpful in the upliftment of the status of women. The fundamental rights which are connected with women are as follows. They are Article 14, Article 15, Article Article 16, Article 19, Article 21, Article 21A, and Article 23. Now we look into Article 14. Article 14 of the Constitution provides equality before law. It provides the state shall not be denied to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. So, this right itself prevents any form of discrimination based on sex or other sources. So, right to equality ensures that the women are treated equally on power with men when it comes to any matters. So, this article protects the right of women and just like any other groups. When something related to inequality, some form of when something related to inequality or some form of man practice or some form of problems are existing in our society related to inequality, Article 14 is offended to use it by the court in order to bring in equality into step. So Article 14 is the very important provision for women. Then we look into Article 15. Article 15 specifically prohibits discrimination on the ground of sex. It states prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 15 subclass 1 prohibits gender discrimination and Article 15 subclass 3 provides special provisions for women and children. Article 15 subclass 3 of the Constitution states, nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making any special provision for women and children. Article 15 subclass 3 lifts that rigor and permits the state to positively discriminate in favor of women, to make special provisions to improve their social condition and provide political, economic and social justice. The state in the field of criminal law, service law, labor law, etc. has resorted to Article 15 subclass 3 and the courts to have upheld the validity of these protective discriminatory provisions on the basis of constitutional mandate. Now we look into how Article 15 subclass 3 provides special provisions for women and children. In Togaru Sudhakar Reddy versus Government of Andhra Pradesh, in that case, the nomination of women in corporative societies to bring in their guaranteed minimum representations was upheld. In Nitya versus University of Madras, the educational authorities were asked to condone a shortfall in the attendance of a woman candidate caused due to pregnancy. Reservation of seats for women in local bodies or educational institutions have been upheld. The Supreme Court in Government of Andhra Pradesh versus P.B. Vijay Kumar held that reservation to the extent of 30% made in the state service by Andhra Pradesh government for women candidate was valid. And also, in the Lok Sabha and Vidhana Sabha, there is reservation of 33% seats for women. So, like this, Article 15 subclass 3 provides special provisions for women and children. So, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. You are audible, Tanmay. Go on, go on.
Okay, sir. Then we look into Article 16. Article 16 of the Constitution provides equality of opportunities for all and prohibits discrimination against women. It states equality of opportunities in matters of public employment. There shall be equality of opportunity for all citizens in matter relating to employment or appointment to any office under the state. No citizen shall on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth, residence or any of them be ineligible for or discriminated against in respect of any employment or office under this state. The Constitution thus provides equal opportunities for women implicitly as they are applicable to all persons irrespective of sex. In C.B. Muttamma versus Union of India, in that case, we see discrimination in employment and discrimination in sex. In that case, a writ petition was filed by Ms. Muttamma, a senior member of Indian Foreign Service, complaining that she had been denied promotion to grade 1 illegally and unconstitutionally. She pointed out that several rules of the civil service were discriminatory against women. At the time of joining, she was required to give an undertaking that if she married, she would resign from service. Under Rule 18 of the Indian Foreign Service Rules 1961, it was provided that no married woman shall be entitled as of right to be appointed to the service. Under Rule 8 subclass 2 of the Indian Foreign Service Rules 1961, a woman member of the service was required to obtain permission of the government in writing before her marriage was solemnized. So here, in that case, it violates Article 15 and Article 16 and also Article 14 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court upheld the case in 1979 in a landmark judgment by a 3-member bench headed by Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, the judgment of Muttamma case described the Foreign Service as misogynist. The Supreme Court judgment ensured that henceforth it was not mandatory for women officers in the IFS to seek government permission for getting married. Because of the help of the fundamental rights, she raised her voice and she got justice. In the case Air India versus Nargesh Mirza, in that case also, we can see discrimination in employment and discrimination on the ground of sex. In that case also, she raised her voice with the help of fundamental rights and she got justice. So, like this, Article 16 is connected with women. Then we look into Article 19. Article 19 of the Constitution provides right to freedom, protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech, etc. The Article 19, subclass 1A of the Constitution of India states that all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression. The right to freedom of speech and expression, which is the essential and very important fundamental rights for every citizen of the India. Freedom of speech, which is the right to express one's opinion freely without any fear through oral or written or electronic or broadcasting or press. Freedom of expression includes freedom of press. It covers the blogs and websites too. The right to freedom of speech and expression and the ability of women and girls to exercise it has been and continues to be an essential means to tackle this discrimination, inequality, and patriarchal attitudes in many contexts that has enabled women to speak out and organize in civil, political, social, economic, and cultural contexts, participate in their own emancipation and improving their status. It also enabled women to have the means to understand their rights in general and give them the arguments to push for change, participate in decision making, and hold to government accounts. In recent years, the Internet has grown subsistently and has created new space for exercising the right to freedom of speech and expression. It has offered women and girls new opportunities to make their voice heard and gave them new or stronger ways to organize, protest, raise awareness of discrimination, as well as to simply widen the space for women's sexual and artistic expressions. Women's ability to organize online and call for change has been seen through movements like Me Too. So, like this Article 19 subclass 1 subclass A connected with women, and in this way it is very helpful to uplifting the status of the woman. Then we look into Article 21. Article 21 of the Constitution states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to a procedure established by law. Thus, Article 21 secures two rights, that is, right to life, right to personal liberty. The right to life includes right to live with dignity, right to privacy, right to livelihood, etc. These all are very important for women. Domestic violence against women is also derogatory to Article 21 of the Indian Constitution because it weaknesses the self-respect and dignity of women who are victims. The Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, that case is the best example for women because that case gives another dimension for Article 21. In that case, Regional Passport Office New Delhi asked Maneka Gandhi to surrender her passport in public interest and refused to issue the reasons. She filed writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution in the Supreme Court challenging the order of the Government of India as violating her fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. That case judgment was to the extent to to which Section 10 subclass 3 subclass 1 of the Passport Act 1967 authorizes the passport authority to impound a passport in the interest of the general public, it is violative of Article 14 and it confers vague and undefined power on the passport authority. Section 10 subclass 3 subclass 1 is violative of Article 21 of the Constitution since it does not prescribe procedure within the meaning of that article and procedure practice is burst. So here also it violates fundamental rights of Maneka Gandhi. Then she raised her voice and she got justice. So with these cases, we can see that how fundamental rights are helpful in the raise their voice and how they are helpful in the uplifting the status of women. Then we look into Article 21A. Article 21A of the Constitution of India. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children who are between the ages of 6 to 14 years in a manner as the state may determine by law. Because of this right, the girls were getting education, specifically in rural areas, the girls were getting education because the rural, that name itself status says about the status of that condition of that area. Nowadays, rural areas also developed, but also these rights give better, but also this right give very helpful in the getting education for girls. Then we look into Article 23. Article 23 of the Constitution specifically prohibits traffic in human beings and forced labors. Traffic in human beings has been prevalent in India for a long time in the form of prostitution and selling and purchasing of human beings. This includes the Devarasi system prevalent in Andhra Pradesh. Specifically, this type of problems are mainly faced by women and children. In pursuance of Article 23, Parliament has passed this Suppression of Immoral Traffic in Women and Girls Act 1956 for punishing human trafficking. So, like this way, fundamental rights are connected with women and they were helpful in uplifting the status of women. The main purpose of this research paper is to acquire understanding of fundamental rights and women, means how fundamental rights are connected with women and how they are helpful in the uplifting the status of women. In the male-dominant society, preference was given to the male children. Females were considered as liabilities, which would lead to expenditure, whereas males were treated as assets. In India, women were facing many types of problems. Because of these constitutional rights, women were got some rights and freedom and they shown their strength to the society. In the present existence, with the impact of modernization and use of innovative methods, the rights of women acknowledged. Because of these fundamental rights, girls from all categories enrolled in educational institutions and every part of the society. I think fundamental rights are played a very important role in the woman's life and their upliftment, and it is also proved. So, with these words, I would like to conclude it.